You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Chris in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, TV shows, games, books, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 677, where tonight we are finally going to be breaking down the Ahsoka Season 2 trailer for D23. This is something that one of us was there to see firsthand, and he's with us tonight. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good tonight.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I know you got, there's a black screen that's kind of spinning here, so we'll come back to it here in a second. But yeah, I mean, we've had about a week now to kind of talk about this. You and I have had a chance to talk about it. I know there's been a lot of discourse around it, a lot of people talking about the trailer. What could this possibly mean? All kinds of speculation going into season 2. But just quickly, while I'm setting up something real quick here, just remind the folks what that was like being there at D23, seeing this for the first time, and just kind of like the fanfare that you experienced while that happened.
So really the crowd was real hype because remember earlier in the day at D23 at the Lucasfilm Pavilion, Iman Esfandi came out and said, hey, essentially he said tonight you're going to see your footage. You're going to see the trailer. And he mentioned there's lightsabers and more lightsabers and space fights and more space fights. So
Right,
the crowd was hyped. Of course, we had to go through all of the rest of the Disney IP to before we got to Lucasfilm. But once we got there, everyone knew what was coming. They announced the 50th anniversary stuff.
Yeah.
Then we went into Ahsoka, and when the trailer played, it was excitement before. And then most of the auditorium was just like an oohs and ahs on what they saw. And then at the end, it was just a resounding applause.
Yeah.
So, it was an event. That's what I like about conventions like Star Wars Celebration, D23, is I like those panels. I like to be there when the content debuts for our eyes. And I was there for Ahsoka. Of course, I was also there for Star Wars Starfighter.
Yep.
Both of those I'm completely excited for. But yeah, this Ahsoka trailer, has me hyped, and all the talk about it all weekend has me hyped. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're also excited today because this actually kind of rings in a new era of the show. If you guys have been following us on social media, or if you've been following our Patreon, we did this Patreon show just a couple of days ago, and we kind of announced there officially that we have a new member joining us on Cantina Cast. For some of you who knew Lauren, she's moved on. She's in the best graces. I love her to death. She loves us to death, but she just went on and had other things going on. And so we've kind of been in this hunt to try to find somebody to kind of come in, fill in, help out with some content, be a part of the cast. And it just turns out that the person that we found happens to live in Austin, of all things. Like, this is so exciting. I'm more excited the fact that we've got 3 people in Austin now doing the show. But nonetheless, I do want to bring on, you guys probably have seen her. She's been posting a lot of our stuff to her own Instagram accounts as Dark Knight Rebel. And welcome, please, Kirsty, to the show. Kirsty, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all? Thanks for having me.
We are
Welcome.
good. Welcome to the show officially and formally as well. I was telling Chris, there's at some point, I'd love to get all the 3 of us somewhere in a studio of sorts so we can actually do a live recording there. I think that would be so dope and a lot of fun. But we are very, very happy to have you on the show. I know you share a lot of the same interests that we do. And I think more importantly, you share Star Wars interests. And so thanks you so much for saying yes. And we are looking forward to, we're going to watch your career with great interest. How about that?
Well, thank you.
Right.
No, that sounds great. I would love to get in the
fun,
studio.
Yeah.
That would
Awesome.
be fun. Get all 3 of us together.
Yeah. All right. Hey, before we get started into our Ahsoka season 2 breakdown, why don't you kick us off with some shout outs, Chris, for some very special people, actually.
Yeah, we want to give a shout out to our Patreon members, our now part of the tribe Patreon members. We got Krista Martinelli, Will I Am, My Girl Paisley, I've Got a Brad Feeling, Rita Reborn, Jacob H, Josh C, Uncle Leon, Sharkman Dan, Alejandro, Jackson Abbott, Daz Davies, Risk Bayless, Danny P, Mike Borda, Dante, aka Utini, and Kat, aka Vader's Girl. And then our Delugers of Grandeur, members is my guy. Now this is Rod Racing, Rob G, Steve C, and my girl Vanessa. Thank you so much for your support. Also, we'd like to thank our YouTube channel members, Paisley, my Star Wars guys, Nicolo, and Ali Padali. Thank you so much for supporting us on YouTube.
Yeah. If you guys are interested in Patreon, you could head out to cantinacast.com/Patreon or patreon.com/CantinaCast. Either way, we'll take you there. You can sign up for as little as $2, and we've got a ton of back catalog of episodes. And then we do at least one episode that is a Patreon exclusive every week. So that's something else to look forward to, your hard-earned money. And then what else we got coming up this week, Chris, as far as shows go?
So midweek, in the middle of the week that's coming up, we will have a Patreon exclusive show. And then next weekend, we'll have another public show. Content to be determined, but we will have those shows ready to go for you.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of ideas, a lot of things that we still need to talk about. If you guys have been following us on Patreon, for Patreon members, I know we've been breaking down a lot of comics recently. We've kind of stopped on a few of those. We'll pick those back up. We've got to finish the Galaxy Edge one. That one, this is officially out, number 5. And but we are going to make a change to this so that we can have Kirsty on more of the public shows. We're going to be flipping the schedule here just a little bit. So all of our Patreon shows will now air during the week, and on the weekends we'll have our public shows, and that will give us a better success of having all 3 of us on the show. So just a small change to that. If you're a Patreon member, it probably is not going to impact you too much, but for the public shows, now you get to spend your Sunday nights with us here on Cantina Cast. So, okay. With that, let's actually get into the trailer. You got some people here saying welcome. So Alex Padali says, welcome to the show. And then I just want to read this one real quick. This is from Monkey Main 2000. Love the trailer. Ahsoka should have been a film series, to be honest. The storyline specifically had the potential to be quality film trilogy, and the story itself should have been part of the sequels. That's no argument for me. Like, I would have killed to have any of that stuff. So would totally agree there. And if you guys are in the live chat with us, feel free to throw them in the comments as you like. We'll try to throw those up when we can. If you have any questions, throw them up. We'll try to answer them. We've got a lot to discuss in this trailer, though, so no offense to anybody if we don't get to your comments. At the very end of the show, by the way, Chris will give you a roll call, give you a shout out if you throw something in the comment. So there's your incentive to do so. Okay, so a little different. What we're going to do now is we're going to try to play the trailer first. Let us watch it. You can watch us. We've all seen it, of course. There are still moments that get me at times, but we're going to watch it, give you guys the benefit of seeing it first, and then once the trailer's played, we'll actually go through and do our typical breakdown, almost frame by frame, line by line. We've got a lot of questions that I want the 3 of us to answer, and for you guys to chime in as well. So without further ado, I'm going to click this, and hopefully this trailer will roll.
Tell me, Ahsoka, what troubles you? I'm always walking by your side.
Citizens of the glorious empire, I have returned.
Oh boy.
I took an oath to protect the empire. I therefore declare war.
He looks so much better in this one than he did in season 1.
Yeah, that's what people are saying, that he looks a lot better here.
Looks a lot more natural.
Out of vision. What did you see? More and more danger than I thought.
Balin claimed to have knowledge of a power.
Master!
One that could end wars.
Oh man, it's my boy Chops.
A long time ago, I walked away from the
You
Jedi.
see Ezra piloting the fighter.
This is your trial, Ahsoka. Take your time to decide. Are you a Jedi? Or not?
And that's the question.
That is the ultimate question. Are you a Jedi or not? One that I hope that we'll be able to answer here tonight. Well, we're going to answer it, I think. I'm going to make you guys answer it, whether you like to or not. So, yeah, there's a trailer. And now at this point, I'm going to pull this up. We've got it pulled up again here. And we're going to go frame by frame. So it opens up here with these U-Wings. And by the way, there's 2 Kirstys. We only have one on the show. I promise you the other one will drop here in just a second. But we've got X-Wings that are coming into Dathomir. You can see here, it looks like we've got a number of them flying in. Dathomir looks great. I love the fact that we're going to get to see that. You know, when season 1 ended, I was like, oh, that's cool, but will we actually go there? Well, it's pretty apparent from this trailer that we definitely are going to go there. Seeing this in live action is just going to be amazing, I think. But this is the question I have here is like, I wonder if, did these U-Wings, you know, is this in response to Thrawn's message, or did they go here for something else, right? Like, I don't know where Thrawn is when he's delivering that message about the Rebel Alliance and declaring war on them, but I don't know. It's interesting how they decided to show up. And it doesn't feel like this is enough, like three U-Wings. Or maybe they didn't know. Maybe they don't know what we know. And so they just sent, let's just send 3 U-Wings and throw in Ezra Bridger and things will be fine kind of thing.
Yeah, or it could be, you know, they're carrying troops, or, you know, U-Wings are bombing capable. Maybe they're going to drop bombs. I don't know. It's cool to see them, you know. I'm happy that they survived from, you know, Battle of Yavin. You know, obviously we saw them in Mandalorian Grogu, so I'm glad to see them here too. They've become one of my favorite fighters in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yep. We're here on Dathomir. It's definitely a battle going on. I love this too because you can see the Night Sister bow, the arrows right there, right? You don't see very many Night Sisters here, but they are here. In fact, if I go over just a few frames, there's one that's kind of right there on the far left-hand side there. Over on the left, you can see her. She's got her bow pulled, or notched for that one. But it seems like they are fighting, and I'm assuming those are the sarcophagi that are on the ground right there. So if there aren't enough Night Sisters yet, maybe they're waiting for them to, I don't know, be born or come to life or whatever.
Come to life or become reanimated or something.
Yeah.
This is just real cool because, you know, and we talked about this before the show. It is like really Ahsoka is bringing in like 3 storylines from the Star Wars media. We have Thrawn, which is you know, comes from Legends, Heir to the Empire, you know, that whole trilogy. We have Mortis from Clone Wars.
Yep.
And then we also have the Night Sisters from Clone Wars. Like, there are 3 storylines that I would never, ever would think would intermix. And now, you know, Filoni and company, they're coming in and they're mixing these storylines in, and it makes sense seamlessly. So I'm really stoked for that because, again, I never thought those would ever interact at all.
Yeah. And the main through line of all of that is Dave Filoni, right? He's the one that's kind of stitching all this together, which is great because it kind of gives you more scale, right? This is it's on a larger scale than just this particular series. It is kind of pulling in. I don't know. You guys were kind of talking about, and I wasn't part of the conversation, but I heard. But I guess for you, Kirsty, do you feel like people have to have seen those series, or do you think it helps, or do you think they've done enough with this series, at least season 1, that people can just jump in and go, okay, well, I don't need to know everything, but I know enough to really kind of follow the story and I enjoyed it. Do you think they benefit, or how much would they benefit from going back and having to watch, you know, I don't know, you need to watch all of Clone Wars or all of Rebels, but it feels like it would help.
It definitely helps. Yeah, I was one of those people who had watched Ahsoka before watching Clone Wars and Rebels. And it took me a while to get into the animated stuff, but because of the Ahsoka series, that's what made me go watch them. And yeah, I definitely think it gave me a lot more context to understand the flow of the show. You can watch it without it, but it makes a lot more sense having that background. And they did such a good job, like giving you a rich history of Ahsoka. She's one of the most like well-created characters in Star Wars with such a rich background history. So, I mean, it definitely benefits, but that is a lot of seasons to go and catch up on. So, you know,
set aside a few months to get caught up on it.
Exactly. But I think at the very least, you could go watch like the very ending of Clone Wars. I often say the last 2 to 4 episodes could have just been a movie themselves. And then, you know, go and get a few episodes in of Rebels, and it'll kind of make more sense for sure.
Yeah. I think StarWars.com, if I'm not mistaken, I believe StarWars.com usually releases before every season, like here's what you should go watch from the different series, right? So I suspect we'll get the same thing of like, here's some episodes that are going to be important for season 2 from Clone Wars, from Star Wars Rebels, from, wherever. So well, hopefully that'll happen. If not, I'm sure somebody will put it together. We could put it together, but I'm too tired. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, there are a couple of content creators that have put out content that's says, hey, they did the same thing for Maul, Shadow Lord, Obi-Wan Kenobi, blah blah blah, where they're like required viewing before, and one of their taglines was that if you are watching it with someone who is either watching Star Wars for the first time or hasn't seen anything other than like the movies, you make sure that whomever you're watching with, sees that required content. So that way, it stops him from asking you questions as you're trying to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Like, who's that? What is he doing? Why is he there? Stuff like that. So, I think if you Google, hey, what should I watch before Ahsoka season 2? Obviously the first thing is going to be Ahsoka season 1, but then it's AIs around there should tell you, okay, watch, this arc or these numbered episodes from this particular season of, like I said, Clone Wars, Rebels, and that should get you caught up.
Yeah.
I do think, sorry, I was going to say, I do think it's probably required to go and watch like the Mortis arc of Clone Wars for season 2. Yeah.
I think so too. I think there's a lot of indicators, at least in this trailer, that feel like, okay, it's time to just face the facts, folks. Mortis is real and it does exist and it is important. That's been a debate we've had for many, many years. Ever since that Mortis arc came out, there's been a lot of debate about that. But we'll get into that here in just a second because we got some very good indicators that we are going to be spending some time there. But I want to go to this next one here because here we go again. We've got a flashback scene from the Clone Wars. We've got live action Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. How freaking dope is that? He's even wearing that same jacket. I know it was at D23 where you could see the jacket itself. And it's very similar to the one that he wears in a couple of the, one of the episodes anyways, from the Clone Wars. But the one thing I had is like this guy, like what's up with this guy, dude? Look at the way he's standing. He's got a lot of attitude already, he's not even like facing them. He's just got his back turned. And I've got questions around this. Like, what do you guys think? Is this somebody who was a Jedi, like a Pong Krell who fell from grace, persuaded by the dark side? I've seen other people talk about, well, if you look at his makeup, it looks like the brother's makeup from Mortis. That would be kind of, the indictment there would be that at some point they had a run-in with some acolyte of the brother or something like that. You know what I mean? And so it's a story that we wouldn't know. Because remember, this is a flashback to the Clone Wars. We don't get Mortis again until later on, right? And so why wouldn't Anakin have remembered this? Or maybe it was after, and if that makes, if it was after the Mortis arc, okay, that makes sense because his memory was wiped. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling there, but what do you guys think about this guy? Do you think he's a fallen Jedi? Do you think he's just somebody who was sent here from, again, the brother or some other faction? And then we can talk about his lightsaber because I'm still struggling to understand the practicality of this weapon. But Chris, I'll kick it off to you first. What do you think?
So I think he's a fallen Jedi, similar to
Pong Krell.
Pong Krell, who's the Barra Sophie. There's still
take it easy on Barris, okay? She had
hey, she's still alive. She's still doing her thing. I think anyway. I think he's a fallen Jedi who is just like Pong, like Barris. They've just become disillusioned and. Could he be like on the run? Maybe he did something bad and Ahsoka and Anakin are hunting him down. Because that's what it looks like to me. It looks like, it doesn't look like, he's jumping out on a battlefield or anything like that. It looks like they're hunting him down. They took a squad of clones. And of course, being a Jedi, he slaughters them all. And now it's up to those two to try to stop him. So that's what I think this is. He's a fallen Jedi or a misled Jedi who has just become disenfranchised with the order and goes off and does his own thing.
Yeah. Kirsty, how about you?
I mean, I have questions. I'm really not sure. He does seem to have like aspects of being maybe a fallen Jedi. Maybe he's just, I don't really know. His lightsaber color throws me off the most. So yeah. It's like a teal color or something,
Yeah, it's not exactly
so
blue.
it's not really a great indication.
Green.
Exactly. It's an unusual color we haven't really seen before in live action.
Mm-hmm. So here's a question. How would you guys feel? And I know, so One Up versus CPU just put in the chat, he said, I think it's the sun. I've seen a lot of people that, I guess the makeup is what kind, or the, I don't know, the eyes is what kind of gives it away, I think there. How would you feel though? Because I think that a lot of folks have said, wait a minute, this is not something we've seen in Clone Wars, where in season 1, the flashbacks were actually episodes that we had seen. We have never seen this episode in the Clone Wars. How would you feel though, if on Mortis, or on Peridia, I should say, if they were on Peridia, and at some point the brother does something to kind of take them both back as a flashback as part of Ahsoka's trials or whatever, and he kind of inserts himself into a scenario that never really existed, but makes Ahsoka feel like she is that Padawan again, and puts Anakin into that position as a test or something else. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's not necessarily a flashback, it's more happening in the real time, but it's the brother messing with their minds, and so he's given off this illusion as if this actually did happen during the Clone Wars.
So I think that would be a cool concept. I just don't think it's the brother. For the sole reason is that if he was the brother, yeah, like, like the facial makeup, is similar to what the brother had. I think his lightsaber would have been red. If he's the brother, if he's truly was the brother, I think his lightsaber would have been red. Now, maybe, they're tales of the Mortis gods, and this guy is kind of like a follower, and that's why his makeup is the way it is.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. Like he's some kind of an acolyte of his.
Acolyte, exactly.
Or avatar, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it could, that's something that I could subscribe to, but I don't think it's the brother. I think if anything, it's just a coincidence, or he's like an acolyte / follower of the brother, and that's why he has his makeup like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, if he truly was the brother, I think his lightsaber would have been red.
Okay. No, fair enough. So Monkey Main 2000 talking about the lightsaber says maybe the middle of the blade of his dual saber is a defense in case someone tries to cut it in half. So thinking back to, Darth Maul getting his cut in half, or any number of other Jedi during the Old Republic have had this happen to them. But I can see that maybe as a defense, because if you do pull it apart, suddenly, the only thing they can attack is your hands, and they can't really cut the weapon in half. This whole thing, though, I just want to say this too, like this whole action sequence, we haven't really seen anything like this in live action where they're using the environment like this. When you think back like to the Star Wars, the Old Republic trailers, if you guys have ever seen those cinematics, this is what this reminds me of. It reminds me of like Satele Shan going up against, it's not Bane. Oh my God, I just drew a blank on his name. But yeah, I mean, it looks like they're using like environmental. He's taking this entire log, this fallen tree right here, and using it to fling this over at Anakin, as well, which is just, it's crazy. The dynamic of this and how complex these fight sequences are going to be is pretty fun. But I mean, look at that too. Look at that look right there.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's a look of, okay, you're going to get it now, or if it's a look of, I can't believe you can do that. Like he's kind of shocked that he's that attuned with the Force that he throws logs that accurately. Right. So I'm curious to see when we watch the scene in real time what his reaction is, because like I said, for me it can go either way.
I'm still I can't get over his little Michael Jackson pose that he's got going on there at the very beginning. Let's see. So there was one other thing too I wanted to mention about his lightsabers. There was the War Dragon Rider from 1996. It was, if you don't know the history there, and most people don't, and I only know about it because I went and did the research on it. There was like I think it was Star Wars Insider or Star Wars Galaxies or something, did some kind of a contest where you could create a drawing and submit it. And Leland Shee ended up making this kind of officially canon. This is of course prior to the purchase, so not canon at all anymore. But that's where this design came from, of this lightsaber. So that's the only reference that I was able to find. It may have shown up in the Old Republic because all kinds of crazy wackiness stuff has happened there before. But it is a new type of lightsaber, at least from for canon perspective. So yeah, it's interesting that we'll get that. We also should mention too, the whole little sequence here starts with Anakin saying, "Tell me, Ahsoka, what troubles you." He ends it right here by saying, "I am always walking by your side." I love the fact that he's there. Like if you think about when we go back to season 1, we had a lot of questions at the very end of that. Like, was he just there for her journey to come back to life and that's it? And he was going to, bounce and maybe he'd talk to her every once in a while. It feels like they're going to have a actual dialogue, a relationship. Like he's going to be traveling with her this entire time, which is huge, I think, because if you're an Anakin fan, I mean, who wouldn't want more Anakin screen time, right? But on top of that, you've got Ahsoka now, who essentially grew up without a master especially after Order 66. And now here is the return of her master, wiser, older. They both are wiser and older. I just love that dynamic. I can't wait to see them interact with each other and try to see if it's going to be the same kind of dynamic that we saw from the Clone Wars, or is it going to be just a new twist to that now that, again, they've matured and they are kind of different people, no pun intended. But what do you guys think? Kirsty, what do you think about that? Do you like the fact, or how much are you looking forward to this relationship between these two going forward in season 2?
I mean, if we get more Snips and Sky Guy, I'm about it.
Yeah.
I love Anakin and I love Ahsoka. I love their relationship. So I'm very excited. I do think Anakin will be more heavily in the second season, hopefully. Maybe we'll see him appear to more than just Ahsoka. Well, who knows, I'm very excited to see a lot more of their relationship in these flashbacks too.
Yeah. Chris, about you? Something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, no, I would absolutely look forward to more Anakin. I've always been a fan of Hayden playing that character, and really I like how he's kind of taken that character to the next level. The way that he talks to Ahsoka and whatnot, he has that like mentor type tone to his voice, similar to how what Obi-Wan did like in A New Hope when he was talking to Luke. So I like that progression, and yeah, I'm always down for more Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, I think we're going to be hard pressed to find anybody who says no to that. All right, let's keep moving here. This is where he says, I'm always walking by your side. This has to be in Peridia because, he's in Force Ghost mode right here. We get the ominous red Lucasfilm logo. Mm-hmm. We've always tried to decide, what does this mean? Why have they changed the color to that? Or the intro to the Clone Wars, sometimes they changed the color and there was some significance there. I don't know that it really has any significance on this one outside of maybe this is, the redness of Thrawn's eyes, what they're trying to herald here.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
Yeah. We get the Lucasfilm logo. You got Thrawn walking up on the bridge there, the Chimera. I'm assuming that's the Chimera. And then this is interesting. It looks like they've removed the front end. I'm assuming this is the Chimera. It could be another one because we know there's a number of Star Destroyers in the fleet now, especially after this trailer. But I'm assuming this is the Chimera itself. And it looks like you've got these droids that are flying around, retrofitting the front of that with something. Now, this is something that's happened many times. Even in the comics, in canon, it's happened before. Some of the books have talked about this, where they've put big blaster, big lasers on the front of it, or I don't know. It can be a number of things on here. But I do feel like this is going to be significant. There's something special about what they're doing here, especially in the later shots when we see those when it's Hera looking at kind of the radar and the Star Destroyers are coming in. There's something about their look. They look fearful. They look like they know something's different about this approach. So any thoughts and speculation? It's okay if we don't. I think we can all agree that there's definitely something going on with these Star Destroyers. But anybody want to throw out a wacky conspiracy theory here?
So I think what it could be, it could be a Night Sister retrofit, similar to what we've seen with the Stormtroopers, and they're applying their mysticism to, this spaceship. That's just what it looks like. Because I know it's just the initial shot, right?
Yeah.
And we get barely a second of this, but
you're right. They looks like they are on Dathomir, at least in the background. We've got all the clouds and the atmosphere of that. So
and from here, it looks we could tell it's a Star Destroyer by the silhouette,
right?
But from the tip on down, it looks like it's more organic. Now that could be the colors of the scene and whatnot causing it, but it just looks like to be. It reminds me of tree roots. So it's are they retrofitting, the starships to, use the magic mysticism of the Night Sisters? I mean, that's what I think is happening here.
So later on, there is another shot of this Star Destroyer when it's complete. And you're 100% right. It does not look right. There's something almost, I like the word organic because I don't have a better word to describe it. but you can clearly see it doesn't look like the very, you know, right angle structure that we would come to expect from like you know, the Galactic Empire architecture, especially for these ships. But we can come back to that here in a second. So, I heard a breath. Go.
I was gonna say, so in the Thrawn books, there's like these lost starships that the New Republic and Thrawn are both trying to find before the other, and so it could be Filoni kind of pulling from that. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah, that's his
but it could be
Katana fleet.
Yes, yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of where my thoughts go with it. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, well, that's a good point too, because like we said, we talked about this at the end of season 1. Like he comes back, cool, he's there. He's got a couple of other ships with him, but I mean, he's going up against the New Republic. So where is he getting his fleet from, right? You know, if that Katana fleet is out there, maybe this is a device that he uses to kind of find them, search them, hone them, and maybe, like you said, maybe that's where we see a lot of the space battles later on, where they're both in a race first to get to that Katana fleet, either to acquire it or take it out. Because once he gets it, then you know he's going to be a more substantial force to be reckoned with. So I like the idea, and I think there's some things in this trailer here that kind of point to that as well. But I want to say too, like I just think he looks better. He looks more natural than he did in season 1. Season 1, he looked a little kind of plasticky, and I don't know if they've just gotten better with the makeup or what's going on. Hey, ChatGPT's chimed in here. I don't know. Something's happened here. You got him sitting here looking over the bridge, coming in 2027 is the next part. This shot, the first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, baby, because look at this. We've got Hera there. We've got, of course, Ezra in a flight suit that, you know, we see him a little bit later. He's going to be flying, I think it's an A-Wing that we've got.
A-Wing, yep.
And then we got Hamato Ziono, that jerk, as well in this tunnel. And I kind of hope they, like, don't get me wrong. Did you guys watch Resistance?
I did.
You did? Okay, so you're one of the 4 people like me that watched it. But in Resistance, his dad was kind of a jerk. And they brought that over, I think. They cared. I mean, he was never, like, evil. Like, you could tell his intent. Like, he loved the New Republic. And he wasn't a corrupt guy, at least from Resistance anyways, right? But he wasn't really always fully supportive and, you know, was always asking, kind of talking to Kaz, like, is this really what you should be doing with your life kind of thing, right? When we got to this series, you know, he had that one run-in with Hera at the very beginning, I think, and then who was it that came in? Was it Mom Mothma? I think it was Mom Mothma that came in and said something else or whatever. But regardless, the fact that they kind of put him in his place, he came out across as like this snippety-looking Congress guy, and I suspect that's going to be the case here. But I do hope this at least gives they're able to kind of rough the edges, around the edges, just a little bit on his character, because I don't want this to be him to be that person going into Resistance, because I think it's I don't know, it's not exactly the same. That it'd be a little bit different, if that makes sense. What did you think?
No, that makes perfect sense. You know, I hope we get a toned down version, because the way it was in Resistance was really annoying.
Yeah.
So I really hope we get a toned down version here.
Kirsty,
but yeah, I didn't care for this guy in season 1 at all.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like him. You're sideways for some reason, Kirsty, on your phone.
Am I sideways? I had to adjust my phone. It was gonna die, so I had to plug it in.
Okay. Let me see if we can we'll do this. Everybody do this, and then we'll work. We'll see if you can get that straightened out, and we'll come back to you in a second here. So here we go. They're coming down the tube here. You got Thrawn. He says, and I'll read the whole thing because it kind of plays over a few of these clips here, but it says, "Citizens of the glorious Empire, I have returned. I took an oath to protect the Empire. I therefore declare war on the Rebel Alliance." And my question, I guess, maybe here is, I have a feeling he is saying Rebel Alliance on purpose. Like, that's just a very Thrawn kind of thing to say, even though he probably knows that they're not the Rebel Alliance. In his mind, they're always going to be the Rebel Alliance. They're always going to be the rebels. They're always going to be the terrorists, you know? And so I think it's him just kind of, you know, throwing shade at these guys.
He does that in the books too.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the triggers for a lot of fans of, you know, the Thrawn trilogy books, saying that, okay, yeah, this is going to be an heir to the Empire type storyline, because
Yeah.
that's how that's how he referred to the New Republic in those books, where they're still the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah. We get Thrawn sitting here, kind of smug, man. I mean, look at him. He's kind of kicked back. He's got his legs crossed. He's got some scotch or burgundy in his left hand there, right there. He's got like a glass of something warm. In the background there, you've got, I think, what are the Isalamaris from the Thrawn trilogy. So those are those creatures that would kind of negate the Force.
Negate the Force, right?
Yep. On the left-hand side, I know we've seen that artifact before. That was out of Rebels. I don't know what the other two are. And then you've got it looks like a protocol droids. I guess now it looks more like a C-3PO protocol droid. I was thinking more like a bug droid earlier, but that doesn't look to be the case now.
No,
it does look to be a darker color, though, like a black or something.
Yeah, it's like a black protocol droid. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. But yeah, he seems pretty comfortable, given all things considered. So that's very much in character of Thrawn, to just kind of be overly confident with everything that's going on here. Let's see, we've got one Star Destroyer, and this is interesting too. So we've got the Star Destroyer coming in again. I'm just going to keep calling it the Chimera. Could be a totally different one. But the ones in the back, I'm not familiar with these. Like, I don't know.
Those are Clone Wars era Star Destroyers, meaning when we first saw them in Episode 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we saw them extensively at the beginning of Clone Wars. Those it looks like that's what those are. They're left over from the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if that was the case. Maybe you're right. You can see them here. Like and this is an interesting shot. Like, I don't even know if these are the same shots, to be honest, because if you look at it, we see the Chimera come out. You've got the two escorting ships there, two escorting Star Destroyers from Clone Wars era there on the sides, right? And then we cut to this image here. So we've got Xiono over there on the left-hand side. Hera looks a little... We'll come back to the rings and all that, what that possibly could mean. But if you look there, you've got 3 Star Destroyers. They're clearly Galactic Empire Star Destroyers, right? The next shot, though, here, now we switch to 1 Star Destroyer in the front, in the middle, and then you've got those 2 on the sides.
Yep.
So it was a little confusing as to what exactly was going on here. Why would they have changed? Unless, maybe the first 2 leave their, I don't know, radar they're using here.
I think it's perception. So if you go back to that first scene, right?
Okay. Yeah. Here?
No, that right there.
Yeah.
I think what it is it's the main Star Destroyer is behind the 2 smaller ones. The 2 smaller ones, I should say, are in front, but to the sides of the Star Destroyer. So from the perception, the way that we see it here, it looks like the 2, they're in the line, the 2 smaller ones and the big one. But then when they flip it and you're looking at it straight on, that's when you see, oh no, it's actually 2 on the side, and then the larger Star Destroyer is kind of behind them in the middle. So
okay, so you think it's all
like a
about
depth perception thing, yeah.
Okay.
So because now flip it now or keep going.
So when we advance it, yeah.
Yeah, advance it, and then see you could get that perception when you look at it from the other angle.
I got you.
That's what I think it is. So I think it's the same, but that one angle kind of throws you off.
So here's another question I have too. Do you think, I think there's some significance here with the rings. Like if you look at them right now, they've kind of almost got like they're concentric rings, right? Mm-hmm. But then you've also got like this, I don't know, you don't ever, and I know we don't have a lot of reference material to go off of here, right? But it's just weird that we would see them coming in like this. And so where my mind went was, are they using tech that they got from Peridia or something to, I don't know, jump through hyperspace in a different way now? And that's why they're looking at this going like, this is kind of weird. Why are we seeing these rings? Otherwise you would just see the Star Destroyers show up. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think there's something there. You've got some rings that are dotted, some rings that are not. It's just bizarre. And then if you take that into account with all the aesthetic that we have from like the World Between Worlds and what we see them later on, even the Ahsoka logo itself, right? All the rings mm-hmm. and stuff. I just wonder if there's something more meaningful to that, this Raider output that we've got here.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what that is, because for me, I would just look at it and be like, yeah, they're moving through light speed,
Mhm.
hyperspace.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rings, there has to be some significance to that. So I'm curious to see what that is.
Yeah. So let's keep moving here. The next scene here, this is where we kind of get into like the space battles, because there are a ton of TIE fighters pouring out of this one Star Destroyer here. You can see them there. I mean, they just look like flies flying out of there. Then we cut to this scene where we got TIE bombers that are dropping these, what are they called? These are the boarding pods or whatever they were.
The boarding torpedoes or something, because that's essentially how they're or bombs. That's essentially how they're dropped, and then they bore into the hull of that ship.
Yeah, and we've seen it before. Like I want to say, like in Battlefront 2, there's particular maps of the video game where you see these. I think even as far back as the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic has some of these as well. But yeah, they attach to a hull. You can see the sparks and the fire and all that stuff from down there. And what they do is they bore a hole, which you can see at the top there, that allows people to kind of board a ship without knocking on the door, if you will. But yeah, that hatch gets opened here. Here's something else too I want to point out. Like, I don't know, and maybe I missed the memo. Okay, maybe I missed the memo. I'm not saying I surely don't know everything about Star Wars, but that logo on their sleeve, that's not the canon New Republic logo that I remember. When we get to Star Wars Resistance, if you remember the ships, it was kind of like the Rebel crest, but then it kind of went out a little bit, almost like flames coming out the sides, and it was in a circle. This is the New Republic logo from Legends that I remember from Legends, anyways, like from the comics.
You see this in Mandalorian.
Did they use the same one then? Okay. Well, either way, I love the fact that they did that, because, like I said, when Star Wars Resistance came out, I remember we talked about that logo and we're like, oh, I guess they're changing it. They're not going to adopt the Legends logo. But at least they, if they did it with, I guess, with the Mandalorian, then they've done it here too. So they're being consistent. All that to say is I like this logo, honestly, from Legends more than I did like the canon logo that we see in Resistance. But either way, I know it's a small thing, but that's what we do here. You've got this Night Sister that pops down. Terrible hygiene, dental hygiene. She's got her bow out. She whips a couple of those. She's taking out these guys here.
See, and I love that. I don't. So, when they did the special editions of, especially A New Hope, if you remember, if us old OGs remember, it's like when they were trying to escape out of the detention center, they shot down a couple of Imperial officers, and you saw their lapel catch fire as they fall to the ground, and
or they'd have like a smoldering hole in them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they edited that out of the special editions. Now I like to see, hey, we're gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
And they brought it back with a vengeance.
I mean, look at all the smoke, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, ouch.
And he still got it. Like, if you look, like that bolt is in him. Like, he's falling down.
It's like an actual arrow. It's just stuck in him. And I'm sure it's causing him a lot of pain. It looks painful. But yeah, he's like, oh, I'm shot.
Yeah. He just kind of falls down in a whimper. He doesn't really go down. But she's continuing to shoot bolts here. And then we get there's another guy that just...
Yeah, there's another guy. He takes it too. And he's just like, oh, I'm shot.
But, I mean, look at all the smoke, dude. There's so much smoke in this. More smoke than a Snoop Dogg party. The next shot here, though, so this, I don't know where this is coming from. Like, this is not the same person, by the way. Just because if you look at the hair, it's totally different. Like, this one's got it pulled back and all that. They do have the same mark on their forehead, but she's got like a top knot where this one does not.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I think they're different people, but that looks like when we saw Savage Opress get impaled by Darth Sidious, and then all the magic left him. And I think maybe they got a hit on this Night Sister, and that's the magic leaving. Yeah, she was probably reincarnated or reanimated. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think that's key. It's something that'll probably play into into that season as well. That we'll see a lot of them dying like this, kind of self-imploding. And it does look like it is on the ship. At first, I was like, "Oh, who shot her?" Maybe it's a different location, but it looks like it's all part of that same scene. I'm not sure what's going on here. We've got what looks to be an escape pod heading into Dathomir, and you can see down at the bottom, looks like there's lightning or a battle that's happening.
Yeah, some
there
type of firefight. Yep.
on the surface. So yeah, not a lot to go off of there. There's Enoch on the left-hand side there.
Mhm.
You've got 3 Night Sisters doing witchy stuff in the background with the red light. They did that in the in season 1, something similar to that. And then you've got also this person on the right-hand side. Like, I don't know if that's a brother that is dressed, in like Night Sister garb. I don't remember that being the case, but they look bald. Like they look balding. They've got like a mask on, some kind of a respirator mask on. But it's interesting because you almost get like they're guarding this. They're trying to protect this seance or protect this ritual that they're going through. That's how I'm reading this, because they've got all the night troopers there on the left-hand side as well, left and right sides as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, witches doing witchy stuff. You got Ahsoka kind of, waking up. She says, I had a vision. Ahsoka, what did you see? That's what Sabine says. And then she says, war. A question on this, between season 1 and 2, if you had to estimate how much time has passed between those 2 seasons, what would you say? And you can use Sabine's maybe hair as a reference. Or I don't know.
Yeah, I would say between 8 months to a year.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I was hoping they would pull Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and just like continue
right from the beginning,
right
or
from
at
where
the
they
end.
left
Yeah.
off. But
Yeah.
the way that we see Thrawn, the way that we see, the physical characteristics of some of these characters, I think that, some time has passed. I would say 8 months to a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think anything longer than that is kind of unreasonable or unrealistic, because, Thrawn would have made his move, I think, once he made the jump back into the Prime Galaxy, he would have, wanted to get his campaign going sooner than later. Probably took him, a couple months to get everything organized and, acquire what he needed to acquire. So yeah, that's what I think. It's 8 months to a year.
Okay. I'll go a little bit less, only, and just so that one of us is right. I'll say like 3 to 6 months, just because I think if they come back and Ezra is like, no, Thrawn's here too, we got to be real careful. They're going to ask, okay, well, where's Thrawn at? He might say, I don't know, but I know for a fact he was real close with those witches, man. And so that would take him to Dathomir, and maybe, and I don't see the Republic putting that off any longer than they have to. It feels like that would be something they would immediately, want to get on top of, because they don't want Thrawn to amass power and kind of rise to power quickly. So I would say maybe in that 3 to 6 month realm that we'd be missing. But we'll see. Like I was more like you. I thought we were just going to pick up immediately right after, the end of season 1. But
well, and keep in mind, there's senators, politicians in the New Republic, like what was that one character's name that we just started talking about? His name escapes me. Who may doubt Ezra because he's been gone for we don't know how long.
You talking about Ziono? You talking about Ziono?
Ziono, yeah. He doubted before. He could doubt Ezra now because, again, he's been gone. He just now shows up and says, "Oh, we have a threat coming. It's Thrawn." There could still be doubts, and there still could be political red tape that they have to cut through, or it could be like what you said is like, okay, yeah, this guy has showed up and said that, hey, Thrawn's on the way. We have to, be prepared. So it could go either way. I'm curious to see how it goes. Like I said, if it leans toward where, he's a little bit more soft and is actually willing to listen or reason to Ezra about Thrawn returning, it could be a situation where like, okay, well, let's get our ducks in a row to prepare for this guy. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that turns out. And here we go. Here's that Star Destroyer.
Yeah,
it has that funky looking.
It almost looks more, now that I see it from here, this angle, it almost looks more like that tech that they used for the Night Sisters. Yeah, like the ship that they used to take off to Peridia. Remember how everything was gold and
Right.
kind of like it did look weird or offsetting? It just didn't look like normal Star Wars. It does look like that. So maybe this is technology that is Night Sister technology, but specifically from Peridia, because I feel like it's like Peridian technology of sorts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this whole shot gets lost. Like I don't think enough people are talking about this shot because the first thing that we come to when we get here is like we're all so giddy and focused on the fact that we see B-wings
Doing their
using those
thing.
they're using like their blasters that they've talked about forever. Like I remember even back in Return of the Jedi, they're like, oh, these use it, and then you watch the movie and you don't get to see them.
Yeah, they didn't do anything. But
I think they did do this in the Clone
they did
Wars,
it in
Rebels.
Rebels. They did it in Rebels. Yeah.
Yep.
And now we see it here, and it's awesome. I think it's great that we get to see this because that's their superpower, if you want to say that they have that tri-beam cannon, and it can inflict some major damage.
Yep. And does it though? That's the question. If you look at like it doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot to it.
And that could be Night Sister tomfoolery there, you know?
Yeah. They've got the shields. Starting up the shields. We got more of the space battle. This looks epic. Like I hope, there's a couple of different shots in this trailer where we've got space battles. I don't know if this is all one battle that we're looking at, but I hope it's more than one. Like I hope we get a lot of different ones here. But you can see what looks to be kind of an Imperial frigate there, or sorry, Imperial, but a New Republic taking some shots there at the Chimera. You got a lot of different types of ships too in the background there. So yeah, I'm not sure what this battle is, but it looks like it's pretty big. And we talked about earlier when Kirsty was on about whether or not they were, maybe they're both in, when they were trying to get to Thrawn's fleet or something. Maybe this is part of it. Maybe this is where they're trying to stop them from going any further.
Right.
But okay. All right. Here's where I think things really start to get interesting. So we go to Peridia here. They're coming up on this kind of stone structure. And the last time that I think we saw a stone structure this big, I'm just going to call it out. Like for me, I think this is part of the father's statue that we saw at the very end. They've just hiked up the mountain and they're coming around to the back of it. And it looks like they're going to go inside of it. And I think there's some more evidence here that seems to be the case. But you've got Ahsoka and Sabine. They're riding the Howlers that we saw from season 1 there. They're looking up. They use the Force here to kind of both open up this little portal or porthole, if you will. I like too that just the aesthetic. If you got like a white glove on the left, a black glove on the right, the yin yang of things, the symbolism there, it's kind of dope. They open that up, and then we'll come back to that here in a second. But then we've got this ship, and this is where Balin's skull comes in. So I'm not sure what's happening in any of this stuff, quite honestly. Like the more I watched this, the more I felt like I had a handle on it. And then I started second doubting myself. It looks like maybe Shin's going after him and he's kind of ignoring her. Maybe they're both going for the same thing. I'm assuming this is Peridia and it's just the snowy part of Peridia because I haven't seen any snow anywhere else. So I don't know how far this guy has traveled here, but I got a lot of questions around that. So I don't know, Kirsty, if you're back, but do you have any, I know you want to talk a lot about this stuff, but any thoughts around exactly what's going on? Or do you feel like Shin is kind of this lost puppy that wants her master back? Or do you feel like she's taking things on her own? Because at the very end, remember in season 1, she was like, fine, I'll just go do this on my own. And she adopts or takes over those warlords or whatever they were that were roaming around there on Peridia. But any thoughts around what's happening here? Okay, maybe she can't hear us.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, I have a little lag, so that's why. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, for Shin, I mean, it is an interesting dynamic with her and Balin, so I am very curious to see how things unfold in season 2. She does seem like she's kind of also, like you said, kind of a lost puppy, maybe. So I don't know. Like, I'm sure she's just as confused as we are as to what Balin's looking for. He seems very elusive about what he's looking for.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, he doesn't share a lot with her, and he kind of takes the approach of like, hey, in due time, everything will reveal itself. But yeah, he's been very withholding of information to everyone but himself for reasons. But I don't know, Chris, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think he's on his own quest. I think he doesn't. Obviously he was hired by Thrawn to do a job. Now that he's gone, he can actually do what he wanted to do. Potentially, maybe use Thrawn to accomplish to get him where he needed to get to, and find the secrets of Mortis. That I think that's what he's looking for, and maybe there's a situation where he's gone a little mad trying to find these secrets. So I'm curious. There's just a lot of Easter eggs in this trailer, and I am really, really stoked to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
Because I have questions. It's like, ultimately he left Shin to her own, her own devices to do what she needs, and now, for some reason she's hunting him and wanting to, return to his side. So again, there's just so many things that I don't have a clear answer for. What is he doing in the snow other than trying to find the secrets of Mortis? I will say though that I don't know why this kind of speaks to me, but in a couple of scenes from here, he ignites his lightsaber and it looks so cool in the snow. That
Yeah.
like dark orange
Yeah.
lightsaber, it just looks so cool. What's the actor's name that plays him now? Which
Is it Rory?
Yes.
Yeah. I forget his last name.
Yeah, I don't remember his last name either. But by the way, rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. He did a great job as Balin in season 1, and I was really looking forward to him coming back, but it just wasn't in the cards. So rest in peace, sir. But yeah, he is, other than Ahsoka, I think he is the character in this series that I have the most interest in. Because first off, he's a character that was introduced in this series. It seems like he has a backstory of tragedy, which a lot of surviving Jedi from Order 66 do. But
he also calls out Anakin, by the way. He knew Anakin, right? So there's some kind of relationship there.
Right, exactly. It's like he has a bone to pick with Anakin Skywalker. And then what even piques my interest even more is that we'll come to a part of the trailer where Anakin actually mentions his name. Like there is history there, and I'm here for it. I want to know the tea between those two.
Yeah, it's actually here. So overall of the scenes that we've been showing here on Peridia, starting with Ahsoka and Sabine coming up on the Mortis statue, or what I think is the Mortis statues, Ahsoka says, "We're in more danger than I thought." And then we hear Balin claim to have knowledge of power, one that could end wars. That's Anakin talking to Ahsoka. That's the line you're talking about, right? He knows that. Now, I don't know if he knows because maybe during the era of the Clone Wars, when Balin was around and they had this relationship, he was still talking about this. Like this is something, his life, if that's what it feels like. It does feel like this has been his lifelong dream, his lifelong ambition. He's always been in search of this great, great power that, is bigger than the Jedi Order and bigger than the Sith, right? And so maybe he was talking about it even way back then, and that's how Anakin knows. Or it's the fact that Anakin is now a Force ghost. Time is not absolute. He can see things that we can't see, and so he's, the world between worlds or whatever else. He can see or hear or understand or know that right now on Peridia that Balin Skull is in search of this because to stop wars. It's one of those two scenarios. Either way, I hope that they do kind of play into that or tease that out a little bit more about what their relationship is, because it was something that intrigued a lot of us during season 1, and it feels like we need some answers on that.
Right, exactly.
All right, so we've got him kind of stumbling through the snow here a little bit. We'll come back to in a second because I think when he ignites that lightsaber, there's some interesting things that happen there as well. You got Shin Hati. There's Anakin talking about him there, and this is where here. Okay, so when he ignites a lightsaber, at first look, it just looks like, okay, he's igniting it, right? And you've got I think you can hear Shin say "Master" right before he ignites it, right? And I think we're led to believe that, okay, maybe that's him igniting it because he sees Shin, and maybe they're going to fight. I don't know. But there's something that startles him. And I know you can't really see it very clearly on here, probably on this cast, but if you actually go watch the high definition trailer, the way he ignites his lightsaber, he's got a look of fear on his face. Like he is startled and pulls out his lightsaber. It's almost to defend himself before anything happens. And he puts it up, immediately goes into kind of a defensive guard position, something like you saw from Qui-Gon Jinn, right? I forget the forms and all that, but that is very much a defensive form, like he's about to defend himself against something here. But and then you got Shin here. Like, again, I can't tell if these are all clipped together or they're one and the same kind of scene or shot or whatever. But if you look at her eyes, she's kind of looking up, and either she's looking at Balin's skull because she's surprised about what he's doing, or she sees exactly what he is seeing now. And she's just, look at her eyes. I mean, they're huge. She's shocked about what they're seeing. So maybe this is something that happens for both of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a situation where they did some really clever editing here. I don't know if these two scenes actually interact,
Right.
but yeah, it looks like something startles Balin there, and then again, here, like you said, it looks like Shin sees something that has her in awe. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out, but I'm sure it's just a bunch of clean editing that the Lucasfilm people did. Kirsty, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think someone put in the comments, his name is Rory McCann.
Yeah.
McCann, yeah.
McCann.
Yeah, they have an interesting dynamic. I am very curious to see how things play out, because I'm wondering if this powerful, this knowledge of power that he's after, if that's going to be something from maybe Legends, or maybe it is canon. I mean, my thoughts kind of drift in that direction, where maybe we could see him potentially like unlocking, more of like the father and the son and the daughter, and then possibly Abeloth. I don't know. I kind of have some theories on what may happen, but yeah, I do really enjoy seeing the new character who's going to play Balin. And also something to note, you guys were mentioning, that Balin and Anakin have a relationship. Thrawn also had a relationship with Anakin, so he actually knows it's Vader from back when they were working with Palpatine. And so possibly if Balin already had a relationship with Thrawn, he could have also known about Anakin a little bit more from that side as well.
Oh,
Thrawn.
yeah, that's a good point.
So there's a connection there too that could be potentially, more explored in season 2. We'll see. But yeah, I'm very curious of what direction this is going to go.
Yeah, we did a Patreon show several years ago where we talked about who knows that Anakin is Vader or Vader is Anakin. And he was, and it was a couple of years ago, because I know it was right after this series came out. But yeah, we did call out that Balin Skull was likely one of the people, but Thrawn definitely knows because of the books and the experience that they had. Like, he never officially knows, like he never calls it out, but he's not dumb, and they allude to in the book that he knows who it is, but he's not going to say anything, kind of thing. So there's a very short list of folks that actually know that Anakin did become Vader, and he's definitely one of them. But I like that idea. I hadn't thought about that maybe he has passed on information. From Thrawn has passed on information to Balin Skull. Maybe that changes his perspective, and maybe that's why, I don't know, he feels the way he does about him. Who knows? Okay, well, let's keep going here. So this is, let me go back to this screen. The next shot here is what I assume Ahsoka and Sabine, and now stay with me, I think they are in the actual statue of the father. If not the statue of the father, then maybe the statue of the son. One of the statues here, and I don't know that we've seen this. I can't remember at the very end of season 1 if we saw the sun statue or not. I know during D23 when they threw up the big on-screen stuff, they had the shot of that, and you could definitely see the sun statue there next to the fathers. And Chris, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but do you remember, did they show anything beyond that? Like, did they show did they show the daughter, Abeloth, the mom, anybody else? It was just those two? Okay.
It was just those two.
All right. So
I think that was done on purpose, I think.
Okay. So it's kind of like the Mount Rushmore of things, but nonetheless, I think they're in one of those heads. And it looks like in order to get the knowledge or go to the next level or whatever it is they're doing, it looks like Ahsoka and them or her need to like solve some kind of a puzzles or something. Like, you can see her playing with these, I don't know, stones or whatever, some kind of control board that actually gives them access to whatever it is they're looking for or not looking for. But here's where I was thinking, okay, this looks like the head. When you see this, I can go frame by frame here. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but right now, what I see are two eyes, right? The left eye and the right eye. Those are the lenses there in the background. You've got light coming through. It hits the mirror here. and that turns on the first one. Then the second mirror, the light coming from the top bounces off the second mirror, goes out through the second eye, which would be the right eye here. And then you can see the gears starting to spin. Like there's a gear turning at the top, and there's a gear turning right here in the middle. We'll call out the floor that they're on, because this comes out a little bit later at the very end of the trailer. You can kind of see them, Ahsoka and Sabine, fighting things on this particular trailer. But it almost, to me, I was thinking, this feels like a mechanized, like this, I don't know if the statue is going to come to life, or suddenly it moves its head or something. I don't know. To me, it looks like the head, but I could be completely wrong. Give me your guys' thoughts. What do you think this is?
It could be the head. I don't know, but yeah, those two lenses could be the eyes.
Well, if you look, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but if you look at the top and the bottom just briefly, it looks like there's eyelids too.
Right.
No, yeah,
I see that. Yeah. It could be the eyes. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say probably 70-30. It's the eyes in the head of either the father or the brother.
Okay, well, this is kind of crazy if it is. What do you, I don't know. Kirsty?
Yeah, I actually missed that in the trailer that it could be eyes, but when you're actually looking at it still like this, you can definitely see eyes. So yeah, potentially inside of the head for sure. The inside of it looks very, very cool as well. So something very sacred. They're in some sort of chamber.
Yeah. It reminds me of like old 80s movies too. Like Alex threw in here Mega Maid, and that's not the reference I was talking about, right? If you know what that is, then you know what that is. But although that is pretty funny. I was thinking more like Never Ending Story, or where like they have these big mechs or golems or something, I don't know what purpose this serves or why this would even need be the case. But that's what it looks like. All right. I'm going to keep moving here because we're kind of running out of time a little bit, but we go back to this shot here now. This is just kind of more eye candy of what is, I assume, the New Republic fleet. We've got a lot of E-Wings that are in here, which is awesome because we got to see the return of the E-Wing during season 1 of Ahsoka, and we get to see a lot more in this trailer. You've got Chopper. People have said that's a radio. I don't think that's a radio. He's not doing the say anything scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like from Say Anything. Yeah, no, he's not that peaceful.
Lloyd outside of someone's house playing music.
No, he's a straight up stone cold killer. He wouldn't be doing that.
Right. I assume this is just like a part that he's bringing over for Zeb or somebody, and he'll probably just toss it at his feet, throw it on him, whatever. This is the part that gets me, like, I think I'm over the chills, but I swear to God, the number of times, the first few times that I saw this over and over again, I kept getting chills because it's been a while, man. Like, if you think about how long they've not seen each other, and to see them kind of hugging it out as bros, and to think about how and where their relationship started, where they were always at each other's throats, and they were basically in the same room together as brothers, growing up together, although I think Zeb's much older than him. But you think about those kind of antics and that whole relationship at the very beginning, and then all the way to fast forward now where he's a grown-ass man now, and so is Zeb. So I don't know. It's very sweet. I can't wait to see more of their relationship, and the fact that they're going to get to be together a lot more in season 2 is just really cool.
No, I agree. I thought that was really heartfelt, and I think that's one of those key moments that you wanted to get that out in this teaser. I think it was a good choice by Filoni and company to add this scene in here because a lot
of people were asking at the very end of season 1. They're like, "Well, where's Zeb? And like, how come he's not there? And how come we didn't get that reunion?" And we're like, "Well, money."
Money,
it costs money to animate him. So
right, exactly, and so yeah, that was a scene that I think has to be in there, and if anything, and the only word that I can think of is hope. Seeing that gave, when that scene hit at D23, you heard the cheers, right? Because Zeb, Ezra, it gives people hope for this series. Not that anyone was thinking that it wasn't going to be good, but now it gives them hope to think, oh, this could be amazing.
Yeah, I love this part. Okay, let's go to. Whoa, sorry. Things hypersensitive.
But here's the other thing, though.
Yeah.
And these questions, I did hear rumblings of this.
Okay.
We see Zeb. Will we see Rada?
I am
Uh-oh.
wondering, will we see Kanan? We have Force Ghost Anakin. We have the possibility to bring a Force Ghost Kanan to come through for both Ezra and Hera. I would love to see that potentially happen. We are missing a key part of the family for Rebels.
That's true. All right, so
Yeah.
go ahead.
Or we have Kanan in a flashback. I mean, heck, we're
Right.
getting flashbacks for Anakin and Ahsoka. Then the question is, if we do get them,
Is Freddie?
is it going to be Freddie Prinze Jr., my guy?
Right. Right.
You know,
Love to see that.
Ooh, that's exciting.
yeah. So yeah, those questions I heard as well. You know, is like, okay, you know, they're getting the band back together. Are they going to do like what the Beatles have done and kind of like use footage to create like new moments, use old footage to create new moments, or AKA do flashbacks? But if they do, are we going to get Freddie? Because here's the thing: is I've noticed in Star Wars, you can get someone new if you're going from animation to live action. You can get someone new if the character was a child in animation. You know, obviously, you know, Ezra, we got Amon Esfandi. Ahsoka, we got Rosario Dawson. But for the and then with the, you know, obviously Hera is somebody different, right? Hera is what's her name? Obi-Wan's Ewan McGregor's wife. I forgot her name.
Mary something.
Scott Pilgrim's girlfriend. That's
There
the
you go.
only I could think of. I don't remember her entire name, but that's what I remember her for, other than Hera. But I think if you're going to bring in Kanan, the voice is so associated with that character. Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice is just that character. If they're going to bring him back, I think you have to have Freddie Prinze Jr. in that role. I don't think there's any negotiation there. If you can't get Freddie Prinze Jr., don't bring him back.
Okay. All right. So here are my thoughts. One, first, let me take on Rod of the Hutt. My short answer is probably not very. It's not going to be very liked. It's not going to be well received. I don't think Rod of the Hutt comes back in this series. What we talked about, Chris and I talked about when we did the kind of the breakdown of. We did a number of breakdowns, and we did one specifically on what does the future look like for Rod of the Hutt. And I think in that one, what I said was there are a lot of like obstacles that he's going to have to overcome as a Hutt in order to be effective in as part of the New Republic, flying and doing these things, right? So they have to retrofit ships for him, you know, unless he's like on a capital ship of sorts. Okay, then maybe, but that's kind of a boring role. You know, I'm not saying he's pushing paperwork or he's working in the kitchen, but it just feels like he's not going to be part of the main group like that in combat and all that. So maybe he has a cameo where he comes out and says a couple things and they make reference to him, but I don't think he becomes a central part of this. Yeah,
no, I'm sorry. I should have clarified. I never meant that he would be a central part of the story. I'm saying he make an appearance.
Yeah,
because it kind of seemed like Zeb was taking him under his wing. Yeah. So we see Zeb here. Will we see Rada? Not necessarily in a serious capacity in the storyline, but just he's there. Maybe he says a line or two.
Yeah. I'm down with that. Like Alex says, human resources. Maybe he's working in HR and
he's working with Dolores.
Yeah, he's over, doing stuff over there, working on 401ks or whatever. But so that's like Rod of the Hutt. As far as Kanan goes, in my own, and this is probably not a popular opinion either. I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong. Like, come on, man. And if you know me, Rebels is like my Star Wars, and Ezra is like, I go back and forth between my favorite Jedi. Is it Luke Skywalker or is it Ezra? Depends on the day, depends on the time. I say that because I felt like where Kanan went at the very end, at least for me, this is just my own personal opinion, I felt like Filoni was signaling that there are other ways that people can go into and be part of the Force, and him going in as Doom, the wolf, that was Kanan's destiny, and that's where he ends up. That said, we're on Peridia, and there are all kinds of things that can happen now, right? It's almost kind of like Mortis, where anything can happen really on Mortis. Anything can happen, I think, on Peridia. And so I think it'd be really neat. I would love to have him come back as a Force Ghost, and I would absolutely 100% agree. it has to be Freddie Prinze Jr. Okay. Maybe I'd say 99% agree that it has to be Freddie Prinze Jr. I'd be okay with the 1% if it wasn't, if it was somebody else. If I had context of like, oh, he couldn't do it, whatever the case was. But I can guarantee you this too. I bet you Freddie Prinze would do it. Like as much as he loves that character, hell yeah, he'd sign up for this.
So yeah, you've seen his interviews on podcasts. He's very passionate about it. But he's already made a Force appearance in canon after he died. Remember, he spoke to Rey at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, that's true.
So and that was Freddie Prinze Jr. So now I think you have to raise that to 100% because we've already heard his voice.
That's fair.
Well, actually take it back because we also heard Ahsoka talk to Rey, and it was Ashley Eckstein.
Right.
So it wasn't Rosario Dawson. So
but it was the character though, right? I mean,
it was the character. Right,
the character was there, regardless of the voice. So yeah, well, see, I don't know. That's very exciting. I hope something that happens, and I'm sure they've already thought about that. So we're probably not breaking new ground on this show, but that's pretty exciting. Going on to the trailer here, we've got what I'm assuming this is Ezra, and I'm going to say that's probably Zeb.
That's probably Zeb. Yep.
I can't see anybody else that would be his wingman, or who would he want as his wingman but Zeb. And if you look here, these two ships stay together as they take off, so they're not taking off at the same time and going doing their own thing. Safe to say that's going to be Zeb there.
And I really dig this scene right here. I actually paused it and I kept it, and I didn't analyze it. I just looked at it. It's very, very Return of the Jedi Death Star 2 battle. Yeah. I loved it, and so I'm really excited to see this.
Yeah, you got X-wings buzzing around here. I'm sorry, not X-wings. You got TIE fighters buzzing around everywhere. The lack of X-wings is interesting too. Even like the T-70 model, I think, is what they fly during the Republic, not the T-65s, but. It's interesting. I haven't seen a whole lot of X-Wings. In fact, I don't think I've seen one of them in any of these, now that I say that.
I haven't seen any in Ahsoka. Now, obviously, we saw them. We know they're in use because we saw them in Mandalorian and Grogu. Carson Teva has one. Yeah. So, yeah, I think they're there. Yeah, but why we don't see them here is a question.
This is Ahsoka saying, a long time ago, I walked away from being from the Jedi. We get another flashback scene here. This is a little unsettling.
It looks like I'm assuming it's that fallen Jedi has got the best of Anakin Skywalker. So, or is it something else? Or is this just another editing trick that they're doing to kind of throw us off? But yeah, it kind of looks like that guy got the best of him. Yeah, like he's hurting, and now it's kind of like it's up to Ahsoka to finish it off, very reminiscent of, the whole Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Maul battle where, ultimately, Maul kills Qui-Gon and it's up to Obi-Wan to finish him off. This looks very similar.
Yeah.
Now, the way they edited it, it makes it look very similar. It could be something completely different.
Kirsty, do you think something happened to Anakin here?
Of course not. No. Not to my Anakin. No, right. But she looks ready to kick some butt. So I think he's fine.
Yeah.
She's got it, whatever the situation is, because man, that look on her face, she looks ready for war right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait. I got to know more about what's going on here.
Yeah, I love the actress they cast to play young Ahsoka too. She's really killing it. In the role.
She's a great actress. She was in Barbie. She was in something else too, where she did a great job. I forgot the other show or another movie. She's a good actress. She's a good young actress.
All right. We got more of the battle here on Dathomir. So love it. You can see at times here in some of the frames, you can see the purple bolts from the arrows. So. Definitely Night Sisters and Night Troopers. The cinematography on this too, like this high shot like this is very cool. You get just nice the way you can kind of see everything framed like that. And I assume this is the beginning of this whole thing. So these are the U-Wings in the background. So going back to the very opening scene that we had in this trailer, it looks like maybe these are the U-Wings and Ezra was part of that. Again, I don't think they were expecting to find what they get, and so maybe they become outnumbered and they kind of run off with their tail between their legs. But they definitely seem like they're going to get outnumbered if there's this many forces here, and they only brought 3 ships with maybe 12 people total. So they're on that next line here where Anakin says, "This is your trial, Ahsoka." I know that had a lot of people talking because, technically she did not go through the Jedi trials properly. I think there's a lot of questions about what that actually is, since it can mean different things. And even in the High Republic, they kind of do the same thing where they kind of establish that the trials are different for people. It just depends. It's not a one-time thing or like an obstacle course that everybody does for the same thing. It's all very specific and catered and personable to that Padawan. And so this is Anakin as her master saying, you didn't go through the trials, and this is your trials. So if she completes it, she becomes a Jedi, or she can choose to become a Jedi, or she can choose not to become a Jedi. But we'll come to that here at the very end. Sabine and Ahsoka in this shot, looks like they're taking guard, and we have these, man, I don't know what these things are. They're creepy as all get out.
Yeah.
They've got like the long arms, and they've got the spikes. They look like they're maybe made of stone. And I say that only because it feels like there's a lot of stone here on Peridia.
Yep.
Especially at the very end. They don't look metal to me. They're not as shiny as I would expect them to be.
They are freaky looking.
Yeah.
They remind me of like Slender Man. Very freaky looking. Yeah.
Yeah. But they seem to be outnumbered. I think there's a total of 8 of them that I counted, at least in this shot. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Even the Howlers, I think, are getting defensive too. Yeah, look at that Howler. He's ready to go. He's going to defend himself. Oh my God, this shot is just worth
this
$1 million,
is awesome,
dude. So this is Enoch. He's got some kind of Night Sister magic weapon. It looks like a halberd, almost like a small halberd of sorts. It's got a really long handle. Then it's got a blade, and then he just crosses swords here with Ahsoka. And the best part of this, and trust me, if you go in this frame by frame and you zoom in. Look at bro here. He starts smiling at the right there. He starts smirking. Ezra does. It's like he's enjoying this. Like he's loving the fact that, and this is typical Ezra. Like especially now, I think grown up Ezra, he just seems like he loves doing this stuff, and he has fun with the Force, and it's not always all seriousness. And I hope that's what he kind of brings to this character. Oh, and his blue eyes. But yeah, I mean, look at that. It looks so sick the way that's just those 2 swords are coming together.
I think it's interesting because in the earlier scene, he's got a blaster and no saber, and everyone's got blasters, and now he's got his saber. So very, very curious why he didn't have his saber out in the previous, preview.
Yeah, he's got it on his belt.
He has it on his hip. Yeah.
Did he? Yeah, he was just rocking a blaster, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's just one of those things where they get here and they're not sure what to expect. Then things really escalate, and suddenly these guys have weapons, and so he has, no choice but to ignite his lightsaber and use it. But, and then this is assuming this is all still part of that same shot, right? That same sequence. Right. Maybe this is a return event or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is magic stuff right there. We've got Shin Hati here. She's on a Howler, and it looks like she and her little raiders have gone in and just attacked this little Noti village. Remember those guys, the little Ninja Turtle guys that we saw in season 1?
Yep.
It's so sad. Like this guy, like one of them, if you look at the guy there in the middle, the warlord or scavenger or whatever, right in the middle of both Huyang and Shin Hati there, Huyang. There's he's kind of like got one of the Notis, and he's like patting him on the head or bonking him on the head. I'm not exactly sure why he's doing that to him, but it's kind of sad that he's doing that. But yeah, it looks like they've raided this little, I called it a trailer park because that's what it looked like to me in season 1. But then you've got these two going against each other. So Huyang and Shin Hati, and I don't know that Shin Hati has enough to go up against him. Like, I think she's overcommitting here.
Yeah, I think she's overcommitting herself. But she is human where, he's a droid. And, we've seen like confrontations like that, a lot of times it's the human that comes out on top. But this is a different, Hu Yang's a different animal when it comes to droids. So, she might have bitten off more than she could chew.
I mean, he's seen just about every combo tactic. I mean, over thousands and thousands of years. I don't know that she's going to get the upper hand on him whatsoever. And that's
Right.
probably going to be the case. Like, I don't see him hurting her, but he may just disarm her or subdue her in some way. And a lot of people are saying this is his best General Grievous impersonation. As well.
It is. Yeah.
It absolutely is. Yep.
100%.
There's also a line here where Anakin says, "Take your time to decide." And then he's going to finish that whole thought here in just 1 second. We get into like really quick shots here at the very end as this trailer winds down. We've got Ahsoka kind of thinking there. You got Sabine in the background. You got more of the Enoch versus Ezra battle. I mean, look at that too. That's so cool. So more of that battle there. You've got Sabine using her flamethrower on these rock things.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got a better shot of them here in just a second, but this, you can see the floor right there, but this definitely looks like the same floor in what we thought was like the head of the father or whatever it was. It looks like that same pattern there. But, just reminding us that she's a Mandalorian. You've got TIE fighters, 2 TIE fighters being chased by 3 E-Wings. This is all part of that same space battle. Again, very reminiscent of like Return of the Jedi, as you mentioned. This part right here, man, I love this so much. Like, I really wish, I can't wait to see this and as part of the whole sequence. But what you essentially got is, I'm assuming that is Zeb in the E-Wing, who has a TIE fighter on his tail. And coming in at the last minute, of course, is Hera and Chopper in the Ghost. So we get a quick shot of the Ghost right there flying in.
Yep. That would be poetic.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's so cool. It looks like this battle is kind of winding down, too. I mean, look at the ships here. You got a lot of them just floating around in pieces. And so I don't know who's winning this thing, but at least the Ghost is there now. I think, I'm not sure who has more ghosts, me or Kirsty, but we'll have to take that offline.
I think you do. I have I have a fun little thing that I usually do when I meet Star Wars celebrities. And so I actually asked Rosario Dawson who her favorite droid was, and she said Hu Yang. So
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She shocked me with that. I was like thinking maybe she'd say Chopper, but it makes sense. She said Hu Yang. That's her guy.
For her character, I think it makes more sense.
Yeah.
There's the Ghost again. So I hope we get a lot of Ghost action, quite honestly. By the way, Anakin's already asked Ahsoka here, "Are you a Jedi?" And then he says, "Are you not?" Right prior to that. So like right here, he says, "Are you not?" Again, we'll come back to that question here in a second. You've got the Ghost coming in here. Those are the hyperspace or hyperdrive rings or whatever they were called. I forget from episode 3. Maybe it was 2, episode 2. On the Star Destroyer, and they actually use these in season 1 as well. But you've got an E-Wing there. You got 2 TIE fighters, a B-Wing. Who took that out? Oh, it's another E-Wing right there. Yeah, here's the battle we were talking about. So I love this too. Like, I love that we get these different artistic shots. It's not always just the same camera on a, kind of moving panning left and right, that kind of thing. But we're getting some like overhead shots, and we got some of this in season 1 too. So I love that they're getting very creative with the cinematography and with the shot photography and that sort of thing. But we've got Ahsoka here and Sabine both using the lightsabers. And this is where I was saying, like, they don't look like metal. They don't have the the luster of metal. It looks more like a polished rock of sorts.
Exactly.
And that's probably our best shot of it right there. So I don't know if these guys are like guardians, that they've awakened, or it's part of some kind of a trial. It's really not sure. But this trailer ends with Sabine kind of doing the slide defensive maneuver here with her lightsaber. So yeah, and that's the trailer.
That's the trailer.
See, it only took us an hour and a half to get through it.
We get through a 1 minute, 30 second
only
trailer.
1 minute and 30 seconds total. So, okay, with the time that we have left, which is none, but I do want to talk just quickly. I've got some questions here, and we can maybe do these like quick lightning round type questions here. But the big question I think that I've been teasing, we've been talking about so much, is this question of, will Ahsoka pass the trials, and will she bear the title of Jedi? And you think about how defining that moment was during the Clone Wars, where she left the Jedi Order And then, of course, fast forward to Star Wars Rebels, where she looks at her former master and says, I am no Jedi. I mean, how iconic was that? And now we have, maybe Anakin remembers that, right? And so he's trying to throw that back in her face. But we have her asking her, like, are you ready to this? Are you a Jedi or are you not? Do you guys think she's going to take on that title by the end of the series? And Chris, I'll start with you on that one.
I would lean on the yes, only because of what we've seen from Ahsoka, and her dealings with Luke Skywalker. I think it could be a situation where she's like, look, I'm going to have to help him rebuild the Jedi Order. And you can only do that if you're a Jedi.
So sense of duty, sense of obligation.
Right, exactly. And then maybe because, the Jedi now are a completely different entity than they were during the days of the prequels. Maybe she's not as disenfranchised because, a lot of the dogmatic aspects of the Jedi Order are no longer enforced. Again, the term that Baylan Skoll that I like to quote all is now all these Jedi are not trained like you would normally train at the Jedi Temple. You start with a youngling, they become a Padawan, they become a Jedi. It's just you find force sensitive people and you train them. And the Boken Jedi. So it's not the same as it was. So maybe it allows Ahsoka to rationalize and be like, look, the Jedi are not what I walked away from is no longer there. It's completely different. And maybe she feels like she can jive with what's there in regards to the Jedi.
Sorry, Kirsty, what about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say no, but Chris has some very good points. So I would maybe lean yes, but I kind of still feel like she's gonna say no. I don't want to be a Jedi. To Chris's point, I mean, with her training possibly with Luke and rebuilding the Order in a better way, I could see her possibly rejoining. But I think as it stands, as how it was originally, I don't think she would want to go back to the Jedi Order still. But she does have her Padawan. She now has Ezra, around her as well. I'm assuming at some point they will get reunited. A good question to ask, I'm sure you were going to, is where are Luke and Leia and all of this? If she's going to be around Luke, like I can see it happening where she is more inclined to rejoin the Order. He could be like, hey, come back. We need you, like Chris said, to teach whoever's force sensitive.
Yeah.
So it's a good question. But I don't know. I will say I'm leaning more on no, but we'll see. If they bring in Luke, I could see it changing dramatically. So possibly. What do you think?
Yeah, and I'm torn on this one too. Like, I know I've said it already, and I was jokingly saying, look at all the people that had the I'm no Jedi tattoos. They're going to be really pissed off now if they do. She does do that.
Right.
But that aside, I think the question for me is like, what would Ahsoka gain from going back to the Jedi Order? And you bring up a good point. Like if there is a sense of duty, sense of obligation, and as part of the trials, she's able to reconnect with that part of her life that she liked, then I can see her doing that. The only thing is, and at least and I know we don't have a lot of context here, but what we know from Luke rebuilding the Jedi Order, he doesn't take a different path. He rebuilds the Jedi Order exactly by the texts and the way he was brought up, right? And so if she looks into that and says, well, yeah, I get what you're doing, it's noble, but you're following the same recipe and therefore you're vulnerable to all the same mistakes later down the road. I don't want to be a part of that. I think that's what could happen. I think it's tragic if she does join, because then she's devoting herself to following the practices that she left in hopes that things would change. And they don't. And then, oh, by the way, Kylo Ren comes around and wipes out everybody. And now the Jedi Order is completely gone, right? And not only that, but her master then goes into exile. Maybe she doesn't live from that. We don't know exactly what Ahsoka's fate is, right? Other than hearing her at the very end of The Rise of Skywalker. And that could be alive or dead. We don't really know. So I think there's a sad story to be told there if that's truly the case. So I think for me personally, I would love for her to say, you know what? yeah, I get what you're asking. I get what you're selling. You want me to be a part of. I can still help without actually taking on the title because she's done pretty good for herself without it. Like she hasn't
Right.
needed the Jedi Order to be as successful, to be as powerful, to be as knowledgeable, and all these things that we're going to see her become by the end of season 2. That hasn't been because of the Jedi Order. That's because of herself and making her own choices. There is a line that comes out of the High Republic that is echoed many, many, many times. And I know One Up versus CPU is in there. I know he's done a lot of High Republic reading. But there's a line that Charles Soule, of all people, came up with, and that was that every Jedi chooses their own path. So that means that not every Jedi follows the same thing. Some become way seekers, some become guardians, some become whatever. There's different aspects of it. But the name Jedi, you can still be a Jedi without necessarily saying I'm the Jedi like Anakin is pitching here or like Luke Skywalker is pitching. So I say that because maybe there's a way that she kind of says, okay, I'm a Jedi, but not the way you want it to be. I'm a Jedi in my own right, in my own mind, in my own vision kind of thing. So that could be another angle. It seems like a bit of a cop out, but that might be an easier way for her to kind of still stay true to herself and still be able to be available for Luke and Grogu and whoever else is going to come through the Jedi Order. That's my long-winded answer on that one. What about Balin Skull? Like we talked about Balin Skull. We talked about what he's after. Are we thinking it's Abeloth? And Abeloth is the mom and very powerful. And I don't know, Kirsty, if you want to get into all that. But like, it feels like there is something tied to Mortis. I know we talked a little bit about it. I know, Kirsty, you weren't on when we did. So I want to come back to you if you got, here's your chance to kind of chime in on this. But it feels like it was a MacGuffin during season 1. Like they were all talking about it's what they were going after. We never saw it, but everything was kind of revolving and spinning around that. I can see them doing the same thing in season 2, leading all the way up into the very end. But at some point, we're going to have something more substantial. You can't just keep stringing the audience along, saying that, oh, we're going to give it to you. We're going to tell you what it is. I think it would be a huge jump, honestly. And I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it would be a huge jump if we suddenly dived into something like Abeloth. They really doubled down on the Mortis trilogy and a lot of the Mortis lore. Because again, when Mortis came out, it was very controversial. There wasn't like everybody was like, oh, Mortis is amazing. Even to this day, I know when I talk to people about Mortis, we've done a lot of shows on Mortis. We've actually broken down every single one of the episodes. We've had like 2 or 3 Patreon shows exclusive to Mortis and theories. And it still is something that I don't have a good sense of, like how many people actually loved it and how many people hated it and how many people thought it was just a throwaway story that was fun to tell, but really didn't have any significance. Fast forward to season 1 and suddenly there's Mortis and it's like, we told you so. But how far do you think they're going to go with this? And I guess the original question of Balin Skull, what is it? The ultimate power? Is it to stop wars? Is it to control the Force? Is it to bring back the gods and replace them with people? There's all kinds of theories out there. What do you think?
Well, I think Dave Filoni's going to cook. I know he put that into Clone Wars for a reason. I was speaking to Chris a little bit about this before, but I think a lot of it has to do with if we're going to get a season 3 or what their plans are for after season 2, because it's like you said, it is a huge storyline they're going to have to unpack. And it looks like they're going to war with Thrawn in season 2. So I'm not sure if they're going to have time to unpack that whole storyline if they bring in Abeloth, but it could be a potential for season 3. It could be stacking up to really set the tone for that season. Or possibly a movie, who knows? But I would love to see some of that play out a little bit more. We do have Ahsoka, who, in terms could be the daughter. We have Anakin, who in terms could be the father. So, we have this weird character who could be the son. We don't know. There's a lot of like little, aspects and hints that Filoni's throwing at us for us to have these fun theories. But yeah, I would love to see it play out. I don't know what Balin's after, but it has something to do with something that Dave Filoni cooked way back when in Clone Wars. So, I'm excited to see that play out, definitely.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point too. Like it's fun to talk about all these things that possibly could happen, but at the end of the day, there's only so many episodes and you can only put so much into a 25, 35-minute episode. And so you kind of have to be tight on these storylines. We can't really spend a whole lot of time on Aboleth and Thrawn and Night Sisters. And I mean, there's too many threads there, right? So maybe it's something that they do kind of hint at and then kind of punt over until like a season 3 and maybe draw that as kind of like the epic conclusion of this trilogy of seasons kind of thing. But Chris, what do you think?
So yeah, as far as what Balin's after, it's a power of some kind, and the power I believe he believes it's derived from the family. Um, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of context from Anakin when he says, the power to end wars. So what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the power to destroy everything? Because that ends wars. You
Sure.
destroy, or is it a power to control? I don't know. That's one of the big questions coming into season 2. As far as like where I want to see this particular part of the story when it comes to Mortis, I'm not really gonna speculate like how much is gonna be there. I just hope that what is there, it makes sense to the story. If it makes sense to just have it there in like little pieces, fine. If it makes sense to have it there as a grand part of the storyline, fine. I just want it to make sense. I just want it to add to the story, not be a distraction or fan service, or which could very well be because Filoni's nickname is Fan Service Filoni. But I don't think that's what I didn't really get that from season 1. I don't think we're going to get that in season 2. I just want it to make sense. That's really what I'm looking for.
Okay. No, easy enough. Yeah, we didn't see Admiral Akbar, but we know that we are going to have some, huge battle between Akbar versus Thrawn, the great minds of these two eras between the Empire and the Rebellion going at each other, right? So that sounds exciting. And I know they've talked about we're going to get a lot of space battles. I know we've been showing some of them here. I think that's probably just one, but it feels like we are going to probably end. It's typical Star Wars. We'll have 3 different things happening at the same time. We've got a space battle, we've got a land battle, and then there's some Jedi crap going on, right? That's probably going to how this is going to all kind of play out. So the fact that Admiral Akbar is in the middle of this is going to be amazing to see these two kind of like, because if we've, for the people that have read the books and the comics, you kind of know what they're capable of doing, but canonically and on screen, we haven't seen them do this type of thing, right? We haven't seen how tactful and strategic they are in executing their battle plans and all that. And so this will be an opportunity to kind of see them go head to head, and we'll see who wins. There was no Admiral Paleon as well, a character that was brought over from the Thrawn books. We got to see him in The Mandalorian. He was, I think, mentioned in season 1 of Ahsoka? I can't remember now. But he wasn't in this trailer either. But maybe on this note, and I know, Kirsty, I'll kick it over to you first because you kind of talked about this, but, this says Ahsoka and then even says season 2, right? Doesn't say the final season. Or so do you think we get a season 3? Is that going to be out there? Or would you rather this is the Dave Filoni movie that we were, touted about? Like they talked about he had a movie coming out. It hasn't been canned yet officially. They haven't put it, buried it. So it's still potentially out there. But would you want to see a season 3? Would you want to see it kind of spin up into a movie from here or launch into a movie, or maybe both at this point?
I mean, as long as we get more Star Wars, I'm happy either way. But I will say, if we do a movie, you gotta go watch season 1 and season 2 to watch the movie. So I don't know if they'll go that direction. I think you can unpack it a lot more by doing it in seasons and in a series. So maybe we'll get season 3, which I hope for. I do think if we get that movie where we get the crossover, we're gonna get Luke and Leia and heir to the throne, heir to the empire type vibes, which I would love to see. I've been waiting for that. Something I'm, really hoping to see in this season is Luke actually making an appearance and having Anakin as a Force ghost actually, come to Luke as well. He's already coming to Ahsoka. So if Luke makes an appearance in Ahsoka season 2, I would love to see that happen as well. And I think if you give the fans a little bit of that, they're going to want to see a season 3, they're going to want to see that relationship, because if you really unlock those characters together, there's a lot of story to be told there as well. So if we get those crossovers, I think that'd be really beautiful.
Yeah, that whole Anakin and Luke conversation, like that's something I know a lot of us have been waiting for. Like, where do you even start, and like, what do they say to each other and how do they speak to each other? And Yeah, there's a lot there. So I mean, that's probably a whole different series in itself. But I guess Chris, for you, what are you thinking? Season 3, then a movie, just a movie?
Just based off what we saw with the Mandalorian and Grogu, it was a great movie, but it just didn't have the legs. I think they like, and also to piggyback on what Kirsty said about, hey, do they want to do another movie where you have to watch TV shows to prepare for? I think we'll get, if this story continues, it's going to be on a Disney Plus series season 3. I don't think we'll get a movie. I think even for the Dave Filoni finale of the Mandoverse, if that still comes to fruition, because
Oh, you mean Rangers of the New Republic?
that is gone.
Oh, sorry.
No, but one thing I wanted to say too is that actual movie in itself, was called the Filoniverse movie, that is on hold.
Yeah.
That is on hold. Now, it hasn't been 86 like The Hunt for Ben Solo or Dawn of the Jedi, but it's on hold.
It's been put on ice for now.
It's been put on ice for now. So I think the whole conclusion of the Filoniverse will be on Disney Plus. I think what Lucasfilm wants to do is they want to get Starfighter out there, and then I do think the Kinberg trilogy is going to be the next thing we see in the theaters from Star Wars.
Yeah. Kinberg feels safe, or at least it's got enough legs to keep going. And I'm with you. I think prior to probably the beginning of this year, or I guess prior to Kathleen Kennedy leaving, I would have been saying, yeah, we're going to get a movie at some point. No big deal. We just, write the checks now. But especially after they have hinted about kind of like their strategy going forward and leaning more into television versus movies and leaning more into animation than live action. That feels like it's probably not going to happen. I'm with you. I feel like they're going to wrap up in the series itself, and if they want to spin off anything, it becomes animated or becomes a book. I can't see them going to movies just yet. I just don't think they have a good footing on where they want to be with movies going forward. So as much as I would love a movie, that'd be amazing. As much as I would love like a trilogy of movies to cover like Heir to the Empire and retrofit that in there, that'd be amazing. But yeah, this is just, fanboy dreams that'll probably never, ever happen. So, all right. Well, there's a lot in that trailer. I know we went a little bit longer than normal, but that's what we do on this show. And so hopefully if you've enjoyed the coverage tonight, hopefully you've enjoyed the breakdown. Paisley asked, how many days until January 20th? Well, I just put it into Google and it says we have 150 days until January 20th, 21 weeks, 3 days, or 3,600 hours. However you want to look at it, whatever's easiest for you to digest. That's when we'll get season 2 of Ahsoka. And I personally am crazy excited about this. I cannot wait for this. It feels as much as the feedback was last year about how season 1 just felt like, the next season of Star Wars Rebels, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with this being like season 6 of Star Wars Rebels. I don't care. That's how much I love this. But I think there are a lot of people that are excited about. I know there were a lot of people at D23. I think the fan feedback has been universally pretty positive on this one. And that's something we just can't say about everything that gets released these days, given, how, our fandom is at times. So I think that bodes well. Like there seems to be a lot of good stuff in here. And this will be the first thing that, although wasn't created when Dave Filoni was kind of on his own, it will be released while he is the president or co-president of Lucasfilm. So that has a lot weighing on it as well. So, okay. Hey, before we go, how about some shout outs, Chris, for people that joined us in the live stream and asked us questions and made comments?
Absolutely. Thank you to Alex, One Up versus CPU, Monkey Mane 2000, Paisley, and Jar Jar Wren. Thank you for interacting with us, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, appreciate that. Kirsty, I'm going to give Chris a final word, but any final thoughts? And again, welcome to the show. If you guys are catching us late, she's now part of the crew. But any final thoughts or words about the Ahsoka 2 trailer or the season, what you're looking forward to?
I'm just super excited to be getting another season of Ahsoka to explore these characters. And I'm super excited to be joining you guys on the podcast as well and just getting to do more Star Wars stuff in my day-to-day. That's really what I'm excited about. So can't wait for something good in January to come and then, many more things. I think 2027 is going to be a huge year for Star Wars and for Star Wars fans. So much to talk about. Lots of excitement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris, how about you? If anything else, final words before we get out of here.
I'm stoked. Like I said, I saw this when it debuted. The energy was high. The energy is still high from my perspective anyway. So I'm stoked, and I can't wait till January 20th. I'm going to be, as soon as it drops, I'm going to be refreshing Disney Plus, and when it hits play, when I have that play button on my screen, I'm going to be there to watch it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. We've got a lot to talk about here. Don't forget, by the way, we are kind of flipping the script a little bit. So it started tonight, technically. So on the weekends, we'll be doing our public shows. Midweek will be the Patreon show. So look for a Patreon show coming from Chris and I this week. And then we'll be back here on Sunday to do the public shows. That'll be the cadence going forward, at least for the foreseeable future. But I want to say thank you again for joining us tonight on the live stream. Thank you to all of our Patreon members, and we hope you guys will join us here on the next episode. We'll see you then.
You're still listening? Wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.